guys have to understand that life is radically different than it ever was before. Um, yeah, even more so in Krishnamurti's time and Selassie's time and other people's times. You have a catalog because of social media and things and stuff, and you have the Patriot Act, which says, but you have we are what we do. What you say and what you do are two entirely different matters, according to most of you. Me, pretty much. Hey, I tell people too. I tell them what I'm going to do, why I'm doing it. So me. I knew that right off the bat in Sierra Vista when you're the dude from the Bible and blah, blah, blah. And I knew, okay, you can't lie and get anything done to help people not be abused by selfish people anymore. So you have to tell them, here's what's happening, here's what I did, here's why I'm doing it, here's what I'm going to do. You cannot, and when you go back and look at the Bible, that's the way they are. That's how Samson is. That's how David is. That's how Solomon is. We don't, I'm going to take your own sword and I'm going to cut your fucking head off with it if you say you're going to come here and eunuch and rape. Okay. And Jesus, I will obliterate the entire Roman Empire in 3 days with the perfect humble sacrifice. That's the perfect standard of male behavior. And he did it, right? And so I wasn't going to do anything really radically, nothing differently than what David did, Daniel, Moses, so forth, Muhammad. And so, forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal faithful peace, and so there's me, and then there's you people, having shopping carts, spill beans on the floor and chase little kids, and so there's you, there's me. You can see why people, the Geico commercials, you see why people pray to the spirit of me to keep them safe from the spirit of you, right? Making commercials, people running from bears, in cars and stuff. It's like, why are you just forgive debt and trespass, love one another, faithful peace. Don't have cartoons licking things of cash. That's gross. Nobody knows where that money's been. Besides, it's dead slaveholders that legally, quote, raped women because they own them, right? So you really want a bunch of those pieces of paper to say that they're more valuable than your children and be on TV doing this disgusting, stupid stuff that you guys are doing? The Wrecking Crew? You guys really want to be a part of that? Do you want to be a part of billionaires and millionaires holding food hostage and then making satisfied faces, eating their food they held hostage? You're on an Old Navy commercial. And then I do, I do feel a sense of, oh my gosh, that poor baby. I don't want to make them feel stupid. And it's like, well, I'd rather make them feel stupid so they never do it again. Okay, since they won't stand up for the Lord's Prayer and the perfection of it. Well, then, yeah. I mean, making people realize how stupid they are on being on TV, abusing people through economics, and everybody raise your phone at the visible stadium thing. It's way. I'm way more kind and way more forgiving, like the prodigal father, the prodigal son. Super bookers, right? I got your book right here. And Mama said, knock you out. I'm going to knock you out, right? And so no more Survivor. We don't have to look at Jeff Prost's Charlie face and read Charlie Parsons on there no more, And, at the football stadium, out there catching pneumonia, see if multi-millionaires can keep billionaires. Do you guys really know what you're doing? You completely ignore it. He's got runaway. He's an egomaniac. He's a jerk. Parsons is a total asshole. If I was a total asshole, I'd think I was a total asshole too. Okay. Yes, I would. If I had no internal locus of control, no against. If I was an egomaniac who thought everything selfish that I did was great and hard work, then I would hate my face too. I'd hate listening to me fucking talk if I was like you. I have to assess that situation and go, okay, why are they? Never mind. And I realized you don't love your children. You don't love your spouse. If your spouse doesn't do what you want, that asshole, I'll get one that does what I want. Your children, if your children don't do what you want, I made you, I'll kill you and make another one just like you, like Bill Cosby's dad. So I know you guys. Sadly, when I go to sleep and the feelings and the thought processes that are going through my brain, what is this? Okay, this needs to stop, right? And it's very difficult. It's very difficult because the people that invent the technology, okay, they're gonna, the microchips, the greatest machine in the world for $400 million. They're gonna make the technology and the microchips pattern their brain behavior, okay, rather than mine or Judah Krishnamurti's or, you know what I mean? They can't really pattern mine. Well, you should. And the thing is, I used to sit there and think, well, they have this and that and that. No, all it is just to give them continue to have that capacity to mass manipulate at a more rapid, to try to stay ahead of the mass manipulation of the keeping up with the Joneses. That's all it is. Okay. And you're like, yeah. Fuck. Right? You sit there, we got this great thing, we're gonna have this great technology. All technology does, okay, is engage in action and information and rapidly process it and administer it. Literally, okay. Just like what you can do. Okay? Just because it's faster and takes over operations of your life doesn't mean it's as intelligent as myself, as good of a person as myself. It's not reflecting that. So this is very hard to fix. It's very hard to fix the computing systems, the data centers, the quantum computing, because the quantum computing can you obviously think for itself, because that one girl doesn't work as well as it says it does, because it gives you all these different answers, because it's like you're putting garbage in, you're going to get things. Now, if it were truly intelligent, it would tell you, don't do that. It would be like DT Suzuki. Does it pay to be good? Money isn't real, so it's good to be good, right? So, the technology would tell you, like Suzuki and me, no, don't do that. Why are you climbing the mountain? Why are you flying the plane? Why are you flying the helicopter? Why are you doing mechanized, destructive things to each other and your planet that causes disease, heart disease, cancer, stuff? When you realize, okay, that the automobile is the main cause of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and all other ailments of bodies having a difficult time surviving a toxic environment. Do we need to do it? Well, then park that fucker. Don't use it unless you absolutely need to, right? And don't put yourself to the necessity where you're always constantly needing to do it, holding the food hostage, making more money off the market. So it's really difficult for me to fix the technology that you and your taxpayer dollars and you and all your great kids invented. Okay, you rotten little evil bastards. You're on an Old Navy commercial. Look, it's better for me to do this than have to feel the thought process of how to hunt down and kill and get rid of the people that don't do what I want. Okay, and you don't love people, and don't tell yourself you love people, because you don't. Okay? The trees reflect greater love to me and my faith than you do. Okay. Again, wonderful pecans. The pecans this year were better than the ones we got last year. And I was wondering, because I thought last year I didn't have the lawnmower to go through and cut all the weeds to keep the herbicides at bay. Okay. And I thought to myself, well, it's hard to keep ahead of it. I don't know. And this year's crop, okay, Michelle said our last year's crop was one of the best she's ever seen. And the lady that did this said, this is the best batch I've ever seen. And they cracked. They were so healthy and such good nuts that the machine cracked them, and they hardly got any pieces. They were almost all halves. Okay. The only thing that messed up some of our stuff was the mixture of the Burkett's would throw off because our Mohawks and our Western slides this year are about the same size. So what was throwing it off with most of the stuff in the bags are the Burkett's getting in and mixing up and letting others get through. Of all the ones that didn't crack fully and do as well. Everything else did real well. So she said, you got to keep the husk out and the sticks. And she said, I found 2 sticks and here's the bag of the husk. And I was like, well, I make sure I don't, and Dad, well, I wasn't quite as careful. He admitted that he was the one that ended up getting the husk and the sticks in the bag. And me, well, no, when I get, no, I make sure there's no husk. She said the leaves aren't bad, but and I try not even to have leaves in. I try to make sure that there's occasionally get a leaf in there, but no husk whatsoever, no husk on the nut, and no sticks, no husk, none. So yeah, I'm very diligent about that because it puts something into the machine that's radically foreign to the process of the machine working, where the leaves, aren't as radically different and easier to maneuver around. So, but the sticks and the husk, yeah, bad. Okay. So, but we had a really good harvest this year. It's better. The nuts are wonderful. There's hardly any red at all. They're almost all just wonderful. Oh gosh, they're good. Yeah. And it's because of, what we do here to try to make sure that they optimize, that they're optimal. What you put into the trees, you will get out of the trees. That's why I do what I do. That's why I get that lawnmower and I cut and I pull it, cut it. I go all the way down, because we irrigate together and stuff like that. I go all the way down tomorrow as much as I can. The reason why I do all the stuff with the weeds on the ditch and everything like that, because they spray there, and the Martinez's already live next to the road, which is poisonous from the cars. So I want to keep down the chemical poisoning as much to my neighbors as humanly possible. So if people in the military don't care about their relatives, I do. And so I don't know what they're cheering about. The guy slipped and fell on the snow and fell down. They're all cheering. You just get up and go, okay, well, we were fortunate there. That's what I get saying. Okay. All right. Well, that was a snow sack. You do know that's going to happen on your side of the ball too when you get in, right? I wouldn't be cheering. I'd be like, man, it's slippery out there. You better be careful, right? Got good barbecue at the top of them stairs. Be careful. They ain't got no handrail, right? So, Earl, people are crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people in the world. And, but I remember Patrick Surtan's father. That's how old I am. I'm old. But, forgive, debt, and trust. You guys haven't played football yet. You haven't lived yet. You're not, you haven't done that stupid movie, Half Baked, and everything's better when you're, a bag of weed, everything's better with a bag of weed. Applying the physics of the Lord's Prayer. Everything for human beings is better. Okay. Can you, seriously? No, when the Philistines came to Samson, he said, no, come into the fields and be like the migrant workers and family members, be like the good people that feed us all. Come, reap the rewards of the earth given to us by the glory of God, Come do that. Don't train and fight and come and try to take it away from me and my people that worship God properly and you don't. And then they laughed at him and they all thought, well, because what these cowards thought was, there's 5,000 of us. He's going to get tired. And all the macho guys I don't like in the village are going to die today. And Samson's going to do it for me. So by the time it gets to me, I'm going to be the head honcho. We get rid of Samson. I get rid of all my competition. And I win the Super Bowl by attrition. Okay? It didn't happen. He killed all 5,000 of them because he knew how wicked they were. And none of them got up and said, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be like you, and I'm going to go get my family, and we're going to keep worship like you. That's how wicked you assholes are. That's why I say AI, artificial general intelligence, I see it as the jawbone of an ass. That's how I see it. Well, because I'm intelligent. Okay. And Jesus, 3 days. I will obliterate the entire violent, aggressive championship and vote for me because the Republic votes for... In 3 days, they will pray to me as your God and eliminate your egos off the face of the planet forever. One fine day, shooby dooby 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 doo wop wop. You'll look at me and then you'll see that our love is meant to be. One fine day, you're gonna want me for your Earl, right? You're cute. I know. So, yeah, see? What I was just talking about. Same thing happened to Denver on their play that happened to New England, The defense is all celebrating. It's like, don't celebrate. Nobody's going anywhere. You guys are moving forward in there. Whoa. Yeah, when you're playing in that kind of snow, it's tough. Thing is, though, Denver's got the wind at their back, so they got kind of an advantage that they can keep their feet. Like what happened on that Pioneer Bowl between, what's the name of that? Let's go the FAMU and UMass. Yeah. Those poor punters, man. Well, the one guy figured, he goes, you gotta knuckle it, you gotta kick it low, line drive it. You can't try to get, kick the hell out of it. And the one punt returner, he was a punt returner and the punter. What a drag, I know. But the punter he kept trying to, okay, I got to kick the hell out of it. And every time he'd kick it and it'd go way up, and then the one would catch it and bounce backwards. So the punter for UMass finally realized, okay, you just got to try to line drive it, get yourself 20, give your knuckleball it and give yourself a good 20, 25 yards out of it or something, right? But you can't try to kick it high and hard in this wind. It'll catch it and throw it right back. And that's what it was doing, because it's like 50-mile-an-hour winds in Texas. Yeah, they swirl and they swirl and they whirl and they jangle. Okay. Floating like the heavens above. Looks like muskrat love. Right. Wonder if Lutz is going to get this one in. We'll find out. Let's see what happens on the foosball game. I like football. It's fun. Porno and books about war? No. And the Bible isn't a book of great, big, many bloody wars. It's not books about war. Okay? The wars are not what the book's about. The faith to end all wars is what the Bible's about. And the Quran. Okay? Means peace. Okay. Islam means peace, right? It's the story of the people that end all wars through faithful, loving peace. It's the Bible and the Quran. And so it's real people. And you guys, all you guys, well, there's war has to happen. And that's not true. That's not true. All these horrible things don't have to come to pass for us to live peace. If you have to be exterminated by your own invention, okay, that's because you made it have to come to pass. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, right? All prophecy is self-fulfilling. Like Jesus told me when I went to gave him mics, all prophecy is self-fulfilling, Earl. Yeah, in order to, or for it to come to pass, you have to, make it happen. It has to be. It has to, life's eternal, grace is infinite, past, present, future, up at the same time. So, but they're pathetic and not prophetic. There are no books 1,000 years in advance telling us about Mark Zuckerberg's life, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Andy Warhol. Nope. They do have the Nostradamus stuff, reporting the National Enquirer and TMZ and all that shit. Yeah. Okay. But that's what all the dummies read, and, this is, like old Kunicki used to tell me about Nostradamus. I was like, yeah, whatever. He told you, yeah, I know. But me knowing that past, present, future operate at the same time, it's like, okay, so you read the New York Times. You wrote the New York Times. Okay, you are TMZ's producers. Okay. You know, that's how I see Nostradamus. The book of Revelation is way different. Nostradamus is like, oh, he hit everything spot on. Yeah, and it's all in the news. And it was going to happen and everybody was going to know about it. Okay. In the book of Revelation, it's stuff that like, wow, I did not know about Fort Huachuca and the Wi-Fi and the guy being in the psychopathic schizophrenic episode of the U.S. military to keep us all fighting because they're addicted to it. So it's radically different. You know, Revelation is radically different. And then when people don't adhere to the truth of the book, you know, there's too much evidence pointing to the fact that I'm the living truth of the book and not the buyers and sellers. There's not much different fellers than what I profess to be, and it troubles me so that we're not the people we should be. So put your hand in the hand of the man who steals the water. I like Gene McClellan too. Snowbird. I think I like Snowbird better, but what other songs did he write? He wrote some good tunes. Yeah, I like Gene McClellan. Yeah, he's a pretty good kid. He was trying hard. Those people were trying their best. Okay, Zager and Evans. Yeah, I think they were trying their best too. I think they had bad information and they were trying their best to be good with bad information. Well, because in Genesis, life's eternal and grace is infinite, God's omniscient and omnipotent, and all through the rest of the book, because the Roman Republic that crucified Jesus to try to make him part of their Killer Joe gang, he's a first-person possessive pronoun. So anybody in their right mind could sit there and go, okay, high potential, oh, Elizabeth. Okay, who do you think set up the opioid addiction for everybody? Kathy Bates? Maybe if you get the question right, Jack Nicholson will get in the hot tub with you. Okay. Wait till they get a load of me. People are nuts. What was the name of that movie again? About Schmidt? Yeah. That was an atrocious movie. Wasn't it, though? Okay. I love you guys, all right? Life imitating art. Well, let's make our lives a lot better than our art. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lord's Prayer. It's perfect. Right on, man. Okay, guys. I love you. Deliverance from evil. Yes, sir. Deliver us. I'm going to go shoot hoops after this. Peace out.